Since I'm in Scotland, I feel like I have to do at least one Sean Connery impression. And here we go. Great Scott! That's all I got. Scotland is only a 6-hour flight away, and what's better than 24 hours is 48 hours for the perfect weekend trip. It's just far enough to feel like you've gone somewhere completely different, but close enough for a spontaneous escape. My name's Erin, and I'm a travel photographer and content creator based in New York City. Welcome back to my channel. Make the most of the weekend across the Atlantic by splitting time between Glasgow and Edinburgh. Each city has its own distinctive personality. Edinburgh is known for its history and castles, while Glasgow has a creative vibe. This trip was travel hacked, of course. I booked both ways with points. Going there, I found a deal to London on Virgin Atlantic for only 6,000 points plus $72 in fees. Then grabbed a cheap flight from London to Edinburgh for $98 on British Airways. If you don't want to do the math, I flew to Europe for under 200 bucks. That's amazing. On the way back, I sat in my very first business class, Delta One. I've linked that experience if you want to see what it's like. So if you ever thought Scotland was too far for a weekend, well, it's not. When I landed in Edinburgh, instead of staying put, I took the CityLink bus straight to Glasgow. It's a comfortable 1-hour ride on a nice coach bus that drops you right in the city center at Buchanan bus station. Just arrived in Edinburgh, but the journey is not over. I still have to hop on a bus and head to Glasgow. That's going to take me another hour. It's been a long travel day. I feel like a zombie. The original plan and how I typically travel is I will base myself in the city I fly into. But hotels are so expensive in Edinburgh. And I'm traveling during shoulder season. I was so surprised. Everywhere I've been traveling this year, I traveled during shoulder season, and the hotels are just so expensive. I mentioned this in other videos, one of the things I do to lower my costs when I travel is I'll reach out to hotels, offer my content creation and photography services in exchange for a stay. But they all told me they're at capacity, so I had to pivot, and that's why I'm going to Glasgow first. I mean, it gives me a perfect excuse to go see another city, otherwise I would have just been stationed in Edinburgh and then done day trips. But I've heard amazing things about Glasgow, so I'm excited to go. Note to self, taking a 7 p.m. flight out of New York City, flying into Europe is not a good idea. I should have done a later time. It's only a 6-hour flight, which is actually very short. So when leaving at 7 p.m., arriving at 1 a.m. Eastern time into Europe, that's actually my bedtime. So my schedule is definitely going to be really messed up. There are direct flights into Edinburgh, but I use points to fly because the deals were just too good. Like, it cost me less than $200 to fly into Europe. You can't beat that. Yes, time is money, but money is money. The flights direct into Edinburgh were also expensive. So I flew into London, had a 5-hour layover at Heathrow, and then flew into Edinburgh. When I fly back to New York City though, I'll be on my first Delta One flight, and I'm excited for that. Although, I think it's on one of the older retrofitted planes, but whatever. I was just in London a month ago too. That one was a solo trip. I'm doing this trip with one of my oldest friends, and we've done an annual trip together since 2018. So he actually flew into Edinburgh first, and then he got into Glasgow earlier this morning. So I'm gonna meet him there, and we're gonna just take it easy for the first day, as I do on all my trips. Day one is never something hard. It's just about getting used to the area and taking your time and then going to bed early. It sounds counterintuitive, flying into one city and then immediately leaving it. But hotel prices in Edinburgh were insane over the weekend, so I had to get creative with my itinerary. Glasgow became the solution. It's an easy day trip from Edinburgh if you're based there, since public transportation here is seamless. The CityLink bus made it ridiculously easy. Like London, Scotland is pretty cashless, at least in the cities, so you just tap your credit card when you board and you're on your way. I was coming back to Edinburgh anyway, so think of Glasgow as the warm-up act and Edinburgh as the headliner. From Buchanan Station, it's about a 20-minute walk to where I was staying. During my time in Glasgow, I stayed at the Moxie Merchant City Hotel. The vibe here is young and social, lots of groups checking in, which gives it this energetic feel. It also reminds me of the Citizen M brand. They're probably competitors. You get a welcome drink when you check in, which is always a nice touch. I reserved the twin bedroom since I was traveling with a friend. Hello! Made it! And we ended up on the 3rd floor, which was surprisingly quiet despite all the people around. The standard rooms are compact with no frills. Honestly, it's a little cramped for 2 people, but it was cozy and quiet, which is what mattered. Plus, you're not in Glasgow to stay in your hotel room. While in Glasgow, the main spot I went to see was the university. Today's my one full day in Glasgow, and the first thing I did was come to the University of Glasgow because this school is what inspired Hogwarts for us millennials. Unfortunately, the Harry Potter legacy is now tainted in my opinion, but I digress. Still very cool to come to the location that inspired such an integral part of millennials' lives. Glasgow is very much a college town, full of young people. It's been a minute since I've seen late teens and early 20-somethings walking around with beer blankets at night. The weather was a bit chilly, but the fall foliage softened the urban landscape. Because it's a college town, I also saw a lot of diversity in the area, which honestly made me feel more at ease. I can see why people say it inspired Hogwarts. The architecture of the cloisters definitely resembles it. After walking around the campus, I headed to the Botanic Gardens since they have free entry. The Arboretum looks similar to the one I went to in Copenhagen. Something that caught me by surprise was the sheer number of Indian restaurants everywhere. Turns out Glasgow has a massive South Asian community, and you see it in the food scene. I knew chicken tikka masala was the national dish of England, but I didn't realize the South Asian influence extended this much into Scotland. I grabbed breakfast at Chaiwala. They have a £6 special that comes with an omelette roti, hash brown, and coffee. Prices here seem reasonable compared to London, but with the currency conversion, it nets out to about the same prices as New York City, which means London is just super expensive in general, arguably more expensive than New York. It was my first time trying Carrot coffee, and it was so delicious I went back there a few times. Later in the day, I stopped by Barebones Chocolate for some hot chocolate. It's not too sweet, and the marshmallow is delicious. After a night in Glasgow, it was time to switch gears and see why everyone falls in love with Edinburgh. Getting to and from Edinburgh is simple. Multiple forms of public transportation run regularly, but I took the ScotRail to Haymarket Station since it was right outside the hotel I was staying at. Haymarket ended up being the perfect base. It's a transportation hub and it's only 20 minutes from the airport. For Edinburgh, I checked into the Hoxton. The property feels like a maze, but the aesthetic is beautiful. Just checked into my hotel. I'm staying at the Hoxton Edinburgh for the next couple of days. I really enjoy the Hoxton brand, and they recently opened up this new location here in Edinburgh. As you can see though, I'm staying in a room with bunk beds because hotels in Edinburgh are really expensive. And that's why I went to Glasgow first and then came here. Otherwise I would have stayed in Edinburgh for the whole trip and then just done day trips being based here. So it's the second half now, and I'm excited to see what the city has to offer. The rooms have crazy high ceilings, brass accents everywhere, and comfy blankets that make you want to stay in all day. I chose this hotel because they have a bunk bed room option, which I thought was interesting as a product offering. But it was also the cheapest room I could find in Edinburgh that's still in a nice hotel. The rooms have a lot of space. Actually, too much. They could add another chair and a lamp and still have room. I think that they should also add hooks in the bathroom for towels. These are small details, but it improves the experience to the max. If you watched my video in London, you know how I feel about communal soaps, but the toiletries from this brand blank are actually high quality. They have a thick conditioner, which is extremely rare for hotels. I always have to bring my own because hotel conditioner is usually watered down, even in luxury hotels, so this is a big deal. Some downsides of having a room with a bunk bed are that the AC vent blasts directly onto the top bunk. Thankfully, I didn't have to deal with this since I immediately claimed the bottom bunk. I learned my lesson the hard way on the Camino de Santiago just a month before. We ended up just turning off the air conditioning for the whole stay. Even though the room was a bit chilly, being under the blankets warmed me up immediately. The hotel also doesn't let you sit in the lobby with takeaway food even when it's mostly empty at night. This is kind of a downer when you just want a spot to sit, but it's whatever. Overall though, the location made up for everything, and I like the brand's aesthetic. From the moment you step out, Edinburgh looks straight out of a fantasy novel. It makes sense that so much of this place inspired generational movies like Harry Potter. Headed up to Royal Mile in Edinburgh. Got the castle right behind me, taking advantage of the sunlight. Today was a travel day, so want to be able to just take it easy while getting in some sights before the sun goes down. I visited during peak fall foliage, and the colorful leaves combined with the castles were such a beautiful sight. Princess Street Gardens are basically Scotland's Central Park, a huge green space in the middle of the city. The Royal Mile stretches through Old Town, with Edinburgh Castle looming over everything. If this area looks familiar, it should. Victoria Street is said to have inspired Harry Potter's Diagon Alley, and this is basically the #1 spot everyone goes to when visiting Edinburgh. The colorful carved buildings, the cobblestones, you see it, right? Can't come to Edinburgh without coming over to Victoria Street. This place is famous for the inspiration of Diagon Alley for all my Harry Potter fans. I'm also a sucker for anything that's colorful, so obviously I'm gonna come over here and get some photos. I also walked through Dean's Village, a hidden gem tucked away from the main tourist areas, although this has become pretty popular itself. It's quiet, picturesque, with a bit of a Hansel and Gretel vibe, and it feels like an oasis in the city, completely separate from everything else. Walking through Dean's Village, this was a recommended thing to do. It's very much like a Hansel and Gretel kind of vibe, or like a fairy tale within the city. It's cool, it's just nice and peaceful there, and it's free. Between the architecture and general atmosphere, you can't escape the connection here. Edinburgh wears its magical influence proudly. Scotland is called the land of cakes, but I ate way more pie since they were everywhere and readily available. Whenever I passed a random bar restaurant and I saw it on the menu, I would order it, especially after walking all day. I needed my calories. This became a thing for my trip. If there was pie on the menu, I was getting it. Now, if you have more than 48 hours and want to turn this into a long weekend, do a day trip out to the Highlands. This is where things get epic. The tour I booked is apparently one of the longest bus tours in Europe. It's 12 to 13 hours, covering hundreds of miles through some of Scotland's most dramatic landscapes. It's a great way to see the country if you don't want to rent a car. But as a travel photographer who needs time to capture scenes and create content, I knew going in this was going to test my patience. The trade-off though is that I'm not responsible for driving. While I love to drive, I had a scary moment when I was driving in Ireland during the winter, so that's why I prefer using public transportation when I travel. It's just less stress. This was reaffirmed after watching our bus almost rear-end a Volvo SUV that took their sweet time pulling onto the road right in front of us, in thick fog no less. I felt pretty good about that decision. Our first stop after passing through the real-life location of Harry Potter's Forbidden Forest was visiting some Highland coos. Yes, that's what they're called. Finally got to see some Highland cows. Obviously that's always been a bucket list item, coming to Scotland and meeting some Highland cows. Then came our first major photo op, Glencoe, home to the Three Sisters, these massive dramatic peaks that rise out of the valley. They kind of remind me of the entrance to the Milford Sound in New Zealand. Our driver shared bits of Highlander culture along the way. One thing he said that stuck with me: Highlanders don't like Campbells. Turns out there's historical clan rivalries that still run deep here. There's also a famous scene from the James Bond Skyfall movie that I want to recreate here, and I wish I had brought my drone, but I didn't have the space. Here's where the reality of traveling in a tour group hit me. We only had 10 minutes per stop. The time to get off the bus took 5 minutes alone. There was no time to find composition and capture the landscape thoughtfully. As someone who shoots content for a living, time is of the essence. So we made it to the beautiful Highlands, but we only have 10 minutes per spot, and it's really rushed, can't really get much content. So definitely, obviously gonna have to come back and drive around because there's so much beauty here. Look at the fog, like it's absolutely exactly what I want to be able to photograph. I just don't have time because we gotta hop on the bus in 10 minutes. Next stop was Fort William, a mountain town on the water with lots of outdoor gear shops and B&Bs everywhere. This town reminded me of Park City, Utah, and also Queenstown, New Zealand. Apparently, it's a super popular holiday destination in the United Kingdom. Taking a break at Fort William, it's like the go-to spot in the Highlands. It is so pretty here. It reminds me of Park City in Utah, but I think this part is nicer. I just went into the bathroom of like a bar brewery area and it was so nice in there. Definitely a vibe. It sucks that I only have like an hour here for lunch. Definitely want to come back here. Like I totally see this as being like a retreat spot. And I see why people come here. It's like one of the most popular holiday locations in the UK. I grabbed lunch at Nevis Bakery. They have a £5 special where you get a soup and either a Scot pie or sausage roll. Obviously, I went with the pie. Now, the main reason I was on this tour was to get to the Glenfinnan Viaduct. It's what I was looking forward to the most on this entire trip. For those that don't know, this is the bridge that the Hogwarts Express runs on, and the actual Jacobite steam train still runs on it. Made it to the main show of this trip, coming up to the Glenfinnan, I keep forgetting what it's called. Made it to the main show of the trip, the Glenfinnan Viaduct, or the train going across from it. Very iconic. Harry Potter fans obviously know, but there's a lot of history here even before the movies came out. The weather turned out perfect, except it's a hike to get to this location, so started sweating balls, and it's pretty muddy from the cold weather and rainy weather before. I was hoping to get some of the clouds over the mountain, but cannot complain because we got sunlight and foliage. The train is supposed to come between 3:10 to 3:25. It's supposed to happen, so fingers crossed that it actually will come, otherwise we gotta skedaddle. I hear a whistle in the distance, and then through the grass, the Jacobite steam train appears. It crosses the viaduct, with steam trailing behind it, exactly like in the films. The train came on time, really happy about that. I screwed up my frame though, slightly, but definitely will be back because it's just a pretty sight. So consider this a practice round. By this point, we've been on the road for over 10 hours, but our last stop was in a quaint town called Pitlochry.
Last stop of the day trip. I didn't even know we were coming here. I was asleep as we were finished with Glenfinnan. The driver said we went up the west side of the country and that we were coming down on the east. So this is a very cute, quaint but posh town, and this place is known for its whiskey ice cream, but it's very cold, so I don't want it right now. And also we only have 30 minutes and there's a queue, so definitely will have to come back here and try out the whiskey ice cream.
It was also cold again, as we were back in the fog, so I skipped it this time. However, I have a mental note to come back and spend a proper day here. After a long day like that, I know what I need to do next time I visit Scotland, because I will be back. I need to suck it up, rent a car, and explore the Highlands properly. The tour was worth it for logistics and safety, but it confirmed what I already knew about myself. I'm just not built for group schedules. And that's how I spent a weekend in Scotland. 48 hours between 2 cities and one very long day in the Highlands. If you're planning a quick escape from New York, Scotland fits perfectly into a long weekend. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one where I take you on another epic adventure.